you're recognized for your 5 minutes of questioning.
Well, Mr. Chairman, let me say this. I appreciated your opening statement where you admonished, actually, Mr. Secretary about the reasons the committee was formed and the department was formed, which is to protect the United States from enemies, foreign and domestic. And I certainly agree with that. You reminded the Secretary of his oath. And I appreciate that, and I recognize also that all of us took similar oaths to that. So one of the reasons I was excited about being assigned to this committee was because I thought that was the work that we were going to be doing. I thought we were going to be focusing on issues like cybersecurity. Yes, we have issues at the border, but I sure thought there'd be a good faith effort to try and address it. For example, like putting up budget dollars to address the issues, expanding resources and the like. This committee's done nothing with any of those. The disinformation issues that are before this committee, not touched at all. So I'm a little distressed. And so I got really distressed when I read your comments in the New York Times. I couldn't believe. Look, I first came to the Hill in 1987, so I understand congressional politics. I know how the game is played. But to joke about trying to have the secretary removed, let me read the quote. I know the ranking member did before. I said, on April 19 next week, get the popcorn. Alejandro Mayorkas comes before our committee, and it's going to be fun. That'll really be just the beginning for him. That is totally off the mark for what we're supposed to be doing on this committee. We were sent here not to have fun, not to eat popcorn, not to try and take somebody down. I was also amazed to see the 5-phase plan that you discussed at this donor meeting, too, on top of that. This is about raising money. This isn't even talking to a group. This is raising dollars, just like the FBI T-shirt that Mr. Swalwell showed a few minutes ago. Just like Mr. Trump raising $12 million after he makes a statement about we should defund the Department of Justice and the FBI. Now keep in mind, if you defund the Department of Justice and the FBI, who's going to deal with the types of issues, the international prosecutions that we need? And by the way, we've got another colleague that has a bill, actually, to defund the ATF. I was very heartened to see, Mr. Mayorkas, that on Friday, they didn't mention this, but there was a huge takedown of the Sinaloa cartel. The Department of Justice, working with DHS and DHA and other agencies, had a huge takedown of the cartel. And that's one of the things I think we're supposed to be talking about. I think you should be commended for that. And it's important to remember that if we don't have DOJ, FBI, ATF, to do that kind of work, it won't get done. And so all of the things we're talking about, especially the fentanyl issue, won't get addressed because we won't have the apparatus to do it. And just a quick reminder on the fentanyl piece, 92% of the fentanyl that comes into the United States is not coming across with these people walking across the border. It's coming through the ports. We learned from the takedown when they briefed us on Friday that they have planes and tunnels that they also use to bring these materials into the United States. So, we can talk about people walking across the border, and I think that's important. We should deal with it. But if we really want to get at the fentanyl issue, building a wall doesn't address it because the planes fly over them, the tunnels go under them, and the cars drive by them. And all of these are driven by Americans, by the way, or almost all of them are driven by Americans. So I hope, one last point, I got one last minute. On Monday, I went to New York City with Mr. Jordan and the Judiciary Committee. And that was ostensibly about crime in New York City. And I said at the time, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to try and look into your heart and attribute any kind of ill motives. Things line up. I kind of wonder why we were actually there, but I'm not going to do that. But when I see this kind of statement, it was kind of an eye-opener for me. And unfortunately, it was the day after I had just made those statements in public about not attributing bad motives to the people who went up there for the committee hearing. Now I can see it's a 5-phase plan. It's an effort to remove Mr. Mayorkas and damage the Biden administration. Mr. Jordan had said that earlier anyway, but, you know, I try and give people the benefit of the doubt.
The gentleman's time has expired, and I'm going to make a point of clarification about the New York Times article. They did misquote me, so you might want to get with me later, and I'll give you the exact details of what I said. But some of what you said was right. Some of what you said was incorrect.
Well,
but this is about Mr. Mayorkas' time here in front of the committee and not about what the chairman said about us holding him accountable and any phases that we might have in holding him accountable. This is about him. And so I now recognize—
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would move for unanimous consent to enter this article into the record.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Without objection, so ordered.